What's good, family? Back with another video, and today we're going to be reacting to capitalism versus socialism. Town hall debate on Fox. Let's give this a win. This might be good because Fox is definitely Fox be having some good kind of conversation. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we're doing. Subscribe, turn on post notifications. Matter of fact, don't even subscribe until you know. Like I said, I'm gonna say this again. Subscribe when you know you like me. If you ain't sure you like me yet, don't subscribe. You watch the video, don't subscribe. Comment, but don't subscribe. And comment why you don't like me if you don't like me. I invite all negative energy in. Let's go. Hop right into it though. Alright, this dude look funny as hell. He look funny as hell, boy. He look funny as hell.
We are back with this special edition of Making Money, our town hall on capitalism and socialism. And back with us are Bianca Cunningham and Richard Wolf. They are representing the socialism side. Herman Cain is here representing the side of capitalism. And joining us now, our very own Neil Cavuto. He is the host of Coast to Coast here on the Fox Business.
Wait, so it's 2-on-1. So how's this really gonna go? You know, Herman Cain. That's who's gonna recognize capitalism. Herman Cain. Herman. Okay. See how this go. He might do good. Let's see.
Network. He also hosts Your World on Mondays through Fridays. And Cavuto Live
I like him.
on Saturdays. Both those shows on Fox
He
News.
real.
And, well, if you think he works hard now, it's just who he is. At 17, Neil was the manager of Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips while still in high school. That's right. And he actually interned at the White House under Jimmy Carter. Neil, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much. You know, they went out of business because of I ate all their food.
So I don't know if you're the right person for capitalism or not.
Yeah, exactly. Is Stewart okay, by the way? Is he?
I gave him a shot at Jack Daniels on the way out, and he's going to think about it. He wants to talk to this kid over here.
That was a great that was a great segment.
It was. Hey, by the way, let's get back to the audience and their great questions. I want to start with Greg. He's a college student. So, Greg, what's on your mind?
Hello. So my question for you guys is, how close can we as a nation come to achieving pure, perfect capitalism, which is no taxation, perfectly privatized industries, you know? Because what we do is we look at the left and say, hey, socialism, communism, how far left can we go? Well, let's look at how far right we can go, at least as the United States.
Herman, I got to ask you this, pose that one to you. I mean, the perfect capitalism, just as I said, there's so many different versions of socialism.
He just said how far right we can go. We don't want to go far right or far left. That's a dumb question. It genuinely is. Like you don't want to go too far right. You don't want to go too far left. You want to kind of be smack dab in the middle. You want to have a balance of everything amongst our societies. You want to have a little bit of socialism in our society. Social programs that help people who can't help themselves. Unions that help people. These are social, all that is part of socialism. But you want to have capitalism as well, because capitalism helps build the economy. It's just how we regulate what goes to what. I think that everybody would agree that people's health shouldn't be a capital enterprise. But I also think we all agree that there's nothing wrong with selling t-shirts. There's nothing wrong with selling fast food. Sounds like a contradiction, but what I mean is selling fast food could be, it doesn't have to just be bad fast food. It could be good fast food. It could be decent restaurants that you can eat at. Like right now I got some protein noodles, you know. It don't have to be bad, you know. But I don't think people's health, when you're talking about going to a doctor, should be anything that you have to pay for. Like people are paying $2,000, $3,000 just to get an eye checkup, to get their eyes checked up, or go to the doctor and do anything. It's crazy, man. I think that was a dumb question, but let's see how they answer it.
This is emerging. There's a lot of versions of capitalism that exist already, from crony to everything else. I mean, is there such a thing as pure capitalism?
No. There's no such thing as pure capitalism, because we have taxes, because we have laws, and because we have people who cheat. But the capitalism, the imperfection in capitalism is this far away. There's a big gap between that and the imperfections in socialism. The C in capitalism stands for competition. The S in socialism stands for state control. That's the difference. You don't have anything such as benevolent dictators. They do not exist. And even in capitalism, It has some flaws. I admit that. But that's why we have a system of laws. That's why we have the type of things that we have, and that's why we have a court system. We got Congress, the executive branch, the judicial branch. They are there to try to keep the playing field level.
Richard.
I want to take off from your point about there being different kinds of capitalism. The story you tell, the one without taxes, the one with perfect competition, that's what we teach in economics courses. It's a utopian dream of what might be a capitalism, and we teach it to students so they understand how far from it every actual capitalism in the history of the last 300 years has been. It's a model, it's an image. Nobody in their right mind, at least not in anything I've ever encountered, imagines it as even possible. It's an image, it's a desire. Then you measure how far from it you've gotten. But the reality is capitalism's competition, for example, when one company works against another, one of them wins. And then the other one goes out of business. And then what's left of the other one is bought by the one who wins. And pretty soon, competition makes only a few companies. We know that because we live in it. So competition produces its own negation, monopoly, which then becomes a big problem. So we call in the government. But the notion of the government is somehow sitting there, rather than itself being a product of the capitalist system, is a bizarre way of imagining the government having no causes and no shapers of what it is.
And by the same token,
Woo! Woo! You emotional if you don't understand what he said. You emotional if you disagree with what he said. What he just said was 1,000% facts. Competition creates another problem. Competition ends up creating monopolies. And monopolies are what they consider crony capitalism. Crony capitalism is a monopoly. Like, that's what the government comes in for, to break it up. But if you bring the government in and break it up, now you've entered socialism into the conversation. Socialism is like what? The government intervening. And economically, that's not really what it is. Socialism is the workers coming together to say, this is how they think a business should be ran. If they're coming in and they're producing their labor into the conversation, they feel like they should be in the conversation, and that the board shouldn't be dictating everything to everybody there. But what he just said, that was on point. Hey, that was on point. That was really on point. Now, also Herman Cain made a good point too. We can never really get close to capitalism 100%. However, though, we don't want too much state intervention. We really don't want too much state intervention, because too much state intervention interrupts what Adam Smith was talking about when it comes to the invisible hand. I do believe the invisible hand exists. And I don't know if you guys know what the invisible hand is, but you got to read Adam Smith's book, The Wealth of Nations. Adam Smith is the beginning of capitalism. He's the beginning of capitalism. If you want to understand capitalism, you have to read The Wealth of Nations. And truth be told, this is where I think a lot of the socialists leave that part out. Adam Smith never believed in monopolies either. He believed in a free market society where everybody had the ability to create goods and services. And he believed that the bottom sector had more of, had more of an understanding of what people wanted in the public. And it was better than feudalism. But let's keep going. This is good.
Duncan, when a lot of folks say, well, don't forget about Venezuela, forget about Cuba, the version of socialism rather that America should embrace, or Norway, Denmark, or other nations where the government.
Search for Taylor Brand to get that LLC next to your business name. Just go to their site, enter your LLC statement.
Is heavily involved, where taxes are sky high, and while there's tight income inequality, there's not the type of upward mobility. You're not seeing the inventions of iPhones in Denmark. So I know they're happy people, but maybe because they didn't invent the iPhone, but we're not seeing the kind of stuff that happens in this country.
And they are beautiful people. I get that. But I will say that I don't believe capitalism in its perfect sense ever was without taxation in that dream scenario. I will say,
one country they leave out of all this entire conversation I think is really interesting. They always leave out China. China, yes, added an element of capitalism, but the state does control everything that China does, and the state controlling everything has led to them becoming damn near not just surpassing from being a third world nation to a first world nation, but almost leading the world in a lot of economic development and a lot of technological development. TikTok, like we're trying to take TikTok from them. No, TikTok's not from China. I'm sorry. It's from Singapore. Let me not do that. But its father company, ByteDance, is China. So let me be careful with that one, like, because I don't really think China really has a hand in it. Because I think TikTok is banned in China as well. But scrap TikTok. Scrap what I said about TikTok. But overall, though, like, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's just lost my train of thought.
Say this, for all the capitalism
Taxation.
and we report on it all the time, it's still the best alternative out there. No one and no type of a system, our own included, has enriched the world to the degree and rescued countries and rebuilt war-tattered Europe that capitalism did, that we did. And I think it can be seen as a left or right issue, and you're right to raise it, but the opportunities presented dwarf what is presented. No socialist society has created the things that we've created. No government-run society has done for people what we have done for people. No society has created the opportunities and provided...
Technically that's not true. South Korea did it. South Korea added an element of capitalism, but at the same time, it still is a socialist country. China is a socialist country. You can even, of course, Denmark, Norway. You can even say Canada somewhat is a socialist country, and Canada is ranked one of the best places to live. So America's the leader. America is the leading capitalist nation in the world, 100%, where there's almost I would say like 70% more capitalist element to America. However, though, are the citizens happy? Are we living good? Are we able to afford everything that we're able to afford? Are things going up? Or things going down? You know, and there's a lot of other places on the planet that don't seem to have the same problem that we do. Yeah, but let's keep going.
A rags to riches type of existence for as many people as our system. Is it flawed? Yes. Do we have extremes? Absolutely. Do we overdo it and we have the Enrons and the Tycos and examples of people who abuse the privilege? Absolutely. And we regulate that and we police that. And we want to make sure that we have better standards.
But regulation is a form of pure capitalism. If this is what we are talking about that they want, right? Pure capitalism has no regulation in it whatsoever. It allows the invisible hand to exist amongst the economy. But we know that doesn't work. And it was weirding. What was weird about this is that both of them keep saying that they understand that there's problems. And I really want the people who support capitalism to start talking more about the problems and the solution to the problems so that the problems can stop. But a main solution to one of the problems is a socialist solution. Regulation. Period. There's no way to get around that. So we need both, in a sense, in order to keep everything under control. It seems like, in my opinion, but let's keep going.
For medicine and food, all that comes with it. Comes out of your taxes too, by the way. But that is an obligation, I think, that capitalism happily meets.
Right, and of course it all gets down to the fact none of these systems are perfect because I think human beings are not perfect.
Right.
I want to go to Donna for our next question. Donna?
Why are Democrat politicians pro-socialism and glamorizing it when they have seen throughout history the destruction that comes from it? There's a reason why people are fleeing other countries for the opportunity to live in America.
You know, Bianca, I want to...
That wasn't even a question. That was like a response. But I know, and that's what they do on Fox News, and it's cool. Anyways, I want to answer her question before they do. The reason why is because socialism has never fully actually been implemented the correct way. Go and look at the people that you consider socialist. You consider Stalin a socialist. You consider Mao a socialist. You consider Pol Pot a socialist. These were totalitarian governments. Socialism does not have one leader at the top. That's not the point of socialism. Socialism is everybody having a say-so in what's going on. If there is one leader, the government has went away from socialism. And I would argue, and people may not like what I'm about to say, but I would argue that Pol Pot, Stalin, Mao, and those are the only failed, those are really the only failed socialist systems that people talk about. But those systems, I would argue they're fascist. I would argue that. They did a lot of things that fascist governments do. Stalin had a lot of similarities to Hitler. He had a lot of similarities to Mussolini. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And people are fleeing to come here. Let's be real. That's going away. That's going away. One, because we're shutting off our borders. Two, and I'll be fair to that, it's because we're shutting off our borders. Two, A lot of people's countries are being built. China, India, they're being built. They're starting to do really, really well. They're starting to realize that the West is not all what it cracked out to be. It's you go there and all you do is work. There's no freedom. There's no freedom. Like there's no freedom like 100% here. But again, I love my country. I do. But I know there's no freedom. You get up, you go to work every day. People say there are people here working 6 days a week. It's crazy. But anyways, let's see what they say.
I've studied the African nations that embraced socialism upon independence. Now, there were a lot of reasons for that. They didn't, the people who colonized those countries, they looked at them as capitalists. Certainly, they didn't want to embrace that. The Soviet Union looked like it was on its way up. But I think it hurt those nations severely, set them back decades. Why has the entire Democratic Party, to a degree, embraced one form of socialism or another? Some are reluctant to say it, but Medicare for all, paying off all student debts. Do you think that that's the new party? That's going to be the new Democratic Party?
And that's what's interesting to me about the Fox News people, right? And no disrespect to anybody. If you're a Republican, you're welcome on here. If you're a far leftist, far right person, you're welcome on here. Trust me, I fight for both sides of the perspective, and I agree with every American to be able to have a perspective. But what he just did was hilarious. He jumped from African nations to Stalin, the Soviet Union. He jumped to the Soviet Union. And then he went over to us and said, well, Medicare for all, he said college tuition, free college. That's what he said. Okay, pay attention to something, right? Minus out the Stalin comment, right? And just look at the fact that Medicare for all and college free. If we could pull that off in this country, why wouldn't we pull that off? If we could do it. Don't forget all the other arguments that you're going to make that say, oh, it's impossible to do because taxes will go up or whatever. That's fine, right? You know what I'm saying? That could be the argument back. But if we could do it, what is wrong with those things? Nothing. To build a Stalin-type government? No. And did African nations fail because of socialism? Yes. But it wasn't just because of socialism. It was also capitalist interest into a lot of those countries that made African nations fail. I'm very familiar with this. And a Western influence that made a lot of those countries fail. A lot of those countries fail. To the point to where now, if you pay really close attention, a lot of African countries are trying to back away from Western influence because they realize it's not helping. It's making things worse. I take the floor.
So I would just first say that I don't believe the Democratic Party is embracing socialism. That's why we have our organization, Democratic Socialism America, which is pushing them to hold the agenda of the people and to be responsive to the issues that we care about. Neither party is serving everyday Americans.
Because the elites on both sides benefit so much from the status quo, so you think maybe they're just giving it lip service?
I think it's just lip service. I think that they're not interested in having a real conversation. I think that they'll stifle the conversation every chance that they
But
get.
can't we have a conversation just about math? Money in, money out. And if you make promises that can't be paid for, eventually you run out of money, right? And I think no matter how passionate, and I don't give Republicans a pass on this, they fill deficits just as, quickly as do Democrats. I just think, though, that what's incumbent upon all these candidates running for president is how are you going to pay for that? Because that's on you, that's on your generation, and I'm fine. I think I told Charles beforehand, as long as my Social Security is okay and you're paying into it, I'm okay with it. I got worried when I heard that the birth rate's at a 32-year low, but I think we just got to do basic math, and I don't think any of those candidates are.
Richard, I'll let you do that, but I want Bianca to respond to that, because how are all these ideas that you want how are they going to be paid for?
If you've recently been injured in a car accident that wasn't your fault, I've got one question for you. Do you know how to get the maximum for?
So I think the real question is why we're complacent with children across this country starving, with people being in massive debt coming out of school and having no choice but to sell your wage for
That's not the issue. Then how are you going to pay
for your labor?
So to address that, if that's a wrong you want rectified, how are you going to
what we like to do is bring democracy to every aspect of our lives, including our workplaces more so. Unions are the thing that is going to push these people at the top to share the profits with the workers who are generating that wealth.
Bianca, you're shifting the subject. I'm sorry, I can't be quiet, Charles. You are shifting the subject, which is exactly how you get back to these arguments about socialism.
No, she's not. She's not shifting the subject. He's sneaky. She's not shifting the subject. She made a great point. What she just said made Republican Americans clap, because that is what we all need in this country, right? The conversation needs to be, yes, we need to talk about how we're going to afford it, right? We need to talk about how we're going to afford it. But the conversation off the table cannot be just let the kids starve. That cannot be the answer. That cannot be the answer. So how do we figure out how to get these systems and programs paid for in order to help? Did you know, I'm going to let y'all in on this real quick, right? Did you know that if every major company donated 1% of their profits, they could move everybody on the planet out of poverty? Look that up if you think I'm burping.
Going at it based upon emotion. You're going at it based upon, here's an example. Allow me to finish. I'll let you finish. You're going at the emotion. You keep talking about people who don't have food to eat and they got to do this and that. We can find those examples everywhere in this country. So what I'm simply saying is, to go back to the fundamental question, which is what we started before you shifted the subject, let's go back to the fact that every one of these presidential Democratic wannabes has at least one socialist idea. You want to know why they get away with it? Because the general public doesn't understand creeping socialism into our society.
Oh, okay, I'll give you that. But Richard, we also should acknowledge, though, that the general public is becoming increasingly dissatisfied with capitalism as well. Capitalism is doing something wrong to have this many people become disenchanted with it, and for us to be doing this special today.
I'm not going to follow Herman in insulting the general public, so I'm not going to go in that direction. I think the general public
insulted me.
Excuse me, sir. I'm in the middle of talking. Okay.
That's twice.
I am interested in trying to find a solution to this question. Where's it going to be paid for? And for me, the solution is not having the government come in. This is the old idea. This is what socialists in the past thought. It's not where I'm going. It's not where I'm coming from. I want to go where Bianca started to go with the answer to the question. Change the way businesses are organized in this society. That's where the problem starts. Every business is a home, let me finish, of non-democracy. A terrible small group of people at the top, the board of directors, the owner, make all the key decisions. What to produce, how to produce, where to produce, and what to do with the work that everybody contributed to. That's not fair, and we shouldn't be surprised that the people at the top give themselves the lion's share of the rewards at the end. Therein is the problem. Socialism, let me finish. Socialism is, for me, is a program to democratize the workplace. It should have been done at the beginning of the history of the United States. We're 200 years late, but better late than never, and that can solve our problem.
Well, the great news is that if we do it now, we're at the peak of our earnings, right? We're a $21 trillion economy. The stock market's near an all-time high, and jobs are going up. Neil, I want to say thank you very much for appreciating it.
Man, that was beautiful, man. Richard Wolff be speaking some facts. People talk about he's stupid. Nah, he far from stupid. He understands how the system works, and he's right. Like we need to democratize the workplace. We believe in democracy all across the economy, but the only place we don't seem to believe in democracy in is the workplace. And we do need to democratize the workplace. We need to make it to where everybody has a say so in it. Like I notice it working from company to company that I've worked for. It has always been complicated to rise in a company, and when you do rise in a company, you realize how much power you have over other people because there's no democracy to say or check balance on your power. Like, but anyways, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe. Love you guys.